Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. The Portrait and the Spy. In the final years of the 18th century, amidst the flickering candlelight of Parisian salons and the booming thunder of cannon fire on distant battlefields, a silent war raged. A war not of musket and saber but of secrets and shadows. At the heart of this unseen conflict was a noblewoman named Elodie d'Artois, whose brushstrokes would paint more than mere likeness. They would sketch out the fate of an empire. Her canvas held the key to the downfall of one of the most powerful men the world had ever seen, Napoleon Bonaparte. Elodie was born into the dwindling privileges of the French aristocracy, a family whose lineage traced back to the days of Louis XIV. Her father, Marquis Henri d'Artois, was a stern man devoted to the crown, but also a realist, who had resigned himself to the swirling tides of revolution. After the chaos of the Terror, the d'Artois estate was but a shadow of its former glory, yet Elodie remained a figure of poise and resilience. Having been trained in the delicate art of painting, which in their society was regarded as a frivolity for women, she nevertheless found solace and subversive strength in her meticulous attention to detail. It was during one gloomy autumn afternoon in 1805 that she received an unexpected summons. A letter, embossed with the seal of General Jean-Baptiste Renaud, the rising star of Napoleon's Grande Armée, found its way to her through discreet channels. The letter requested a sitting for a portrait, a symbol of honor and prestige for any artist. The general was known for his tactical brilliance and loyalty, yet whispers suggested he harbored doubts about the emperor's insatiable thirst for power. Elodie, whose loyalty lay more to the ideals of France than to any man or regime, saw in this commission the faintest glimmer of resistance. The meeting was arranged in a modest townhouse in central Paris, shielded from prying eyes by drapes and guards. General Renaud arrived punctual and quiet, his uniform immaculate, eyes calculating yet weary from years of endless campaigns. As Elodie prepared her canvas and paints, they spoke cautiously. He was aware of the danger of the moment and the risks they each took. "I have no illusions about my role, madam," the general said softly as she mixed pigments. "But perhaps a painting can do more than glorify. Perhaps it can be a message. A voice for those who cannot speak openly." Elodie nodded, understanding his meaning. The war was turning against Napoleon. His campaigns stretched thin across Europe, and dissent simmered in the hearts of many. Yet to expose the emperor openly meant death. A hidden code, something that could be overlooked by the casual gaze but deciphered by those in the resistance, would be their weapon. Over the next several weeks, Elodie worked feverishly on the portrait. She portrayed General Renaud seated with calm authority, but beneath the surface, threads of encrypted meaning ebbed through her brushwork. The folds of his scarlet sash concealed carefully arranged patterns. The glint in his eyes reflected a cipher. The landscape behind him, rather than being a mere backdrop, was a map disguised in the shades of twilight. In the salon where the painting would later hang, at the home of a trusted ally to the resistance known only as Monsieur Lefebvre, the piece would be displayed as an innocuous tribute to a hero of France. Yet those who knew how to look could read the hidden coordinates and dates, a code that mapped out the locations of weak points in Napoleon's supply lines and troop movements. If communicated swiftly, the coalition armies, Britain, Austria, Russia, could seize the opportunity to strike decisive blows. However, neither Elodie nor General Renaud understood fully the ramifications of their collaboration. Quiet eyes watched them. The imperial spies, ever vigilant, noted the arrival of the painting with suspicion. Madame Clementine, a lady-in-waiting to Empress Josephine and a covert agent for the emperor, began her silent investigation. Upon the completion of the portrait, General Renaud arranged for its transport to Lefebvre's residence. Elodie remained in Paris, cloaked in the daily motions of her life, hoping her work would send ripples through the hidden currents of rebellion. But the moment the painting was hung, whispers began to spread in the corridors of power. Napoleon, ensconced in his headquarters at Boulogne, was alerted to a potential threat. His paranoia flared like an unquenchable fire. Madame Clementine, armed with her keen intellect and an intimate knowledge of the arts, scrutinized the portrait. At first, the lady-in-waiting saw only a masterful depiction of a loyal general. Yet in the delicate craquelure of the paint, and the subtle shift in color hues, she suspected a cipher. The twisting lines of the sash and the positioning of Renault's fingers were arranged in a pattern that recalled classical cryptographic systems, the kind taught in military schools but thought safe from civilian hands. Intent on uncovering the truth, Madame Clementine enlisted the help of a trusted codebreaker, Louis Marceau, a man whose talents once served the revolutionary cause but who now answered only to Napoleon. Their work was slow and painstaking. Over weeks, they cross-referenced the painting's details with maps and intercepted letters. Slowly, the code revealed itself. The secret plans of an impending alliance meant to pounce on the emperor's vulnerabilities. Napoleon's response was swift and brutal. Orders went out to silence the noblewoman and the general alike. General Renault, suspecting the net closing in, attempted to flee Paris to join the coalition forces directly. Elodie, however, was less prepared, her identity as painter and conspirator dangerously entwined. In the dim light of night, beneath the heavy drizzle of rain, Elodie received a quiet warning from a friend within the palace guards. "You are no longer safe, Madame d'Artois. They seek your arrest at dawn." Determined not to falter, she seized what few belongings she could carry, including sketches and copies of the painting, meant to be disseminated if the original were lost. She slipped through the labyrinthine streets of Paris, guided by sympathizers in the underground network that opposed Napoleon's rule. Meanwhile, General Renault's fate was unfolding on the battlefield at Austerlitz, where the emperor sought to crush the coalition before their plans could mature. The battle was fierce, and though Renault fought with valor, he was gravely wounded and taken prisoner. He refused to betray his comrades, maintaining a silence that frustrated his captors. Back in the city, Elodie found refuge in the modest flat of Monsieur Lefebvre. Here, the agents of the Allied powers awaited the final key. The painting, carefully unpacked, was scrutinized in candlelit rooms. Using a device based on mirror reflections and grid overlays, they decrypted the message fully. The intelligence within its layers revealed troop movement schedules and supply convoys, giving the coalition the edge they needed. This singular moment of revelation marked a turning point. The Allies, armed with the secrets hidden in Elodie's painting, altered their strategies. Strikes were launched not long after, disrupting Napoleon's logistics and weakening his grip on occupied territories. The cost, however, was dear. Police commissions swept Paris again, capturing many suspected of conspiracy. Madame Clementine, ironically, was promoted for her service, while Louis Marceau vanished mysteriously, rumored to have defected to the resistance. Elodie, too, was captured, betrayed reportedly by a confidant desperate for favor. She faced a tribunal where her status as an artist complicated proceedings. None could quite believe an act of treason could be committed through paint and brush. Yet her trial was swift. In the cold marble halls of justice, she stood with resolute grace, knowing her sacrifice was the price for a fragile hope. Her sentence was exile, not execution, a mercy granted only because the emperor feared she could become a martyr. Elodie was sent to England, where she lived out her days quietly yet still painting. Her works, however, became treasured by the British court, who valued not only her art but the bravery it symbolized. The portrait itself remained in Paris for a time, displayed as a patriotic masterpiece. After the fall of Napoleon and the restoration of the monarchy, the painting became a symbol, inspiring generations to understand that resistance often wears many faces, sometimes that of a noblewoman with a brush. The hidden code, secreted beneath layers of oil paint and centuries of varnish, remained a marvel for historians and cryptologists in later years, a testament to the ingenuity and courage of those who dared to defy an emperor not with armies alone, but with artistry and alliance. For more stories, like and subscribe.